And Pashupati, we were just discussing that everyone's been to Doon school has got a name, and you also had one, right? Somehow I don't know why I remember this. Oh, good old days, Purani Yade.
Purani Yade. Pashu, obviously. Animal.
Wasn't it Putti or something?
No, that came later. That I made for the Americans.
I used to think it was to be Putti.
No. ठीक है, sir. Next
Remembering your old
question.
young days. Remembering your old young days.
Is the market going to 30,000, 40,000, 50,000? मुंह में घी शक्कर?
I'm not saying it. You're saying it.
40 new scripts in F&O. That's going to churn the market, get retail.
What's your view? What are you buying right now? What's keeping you busy?
Trying to stay out of trouble, honestly. I bought Reliance last week and crying.
But what is your view in general? Do you think markets have corrected enough and now we have that froth which was there and where everybody in a sense was just trading and making money, and be it BTST, which is buy today, sell tomorrow, had become buy in the morning and sell in the afternoon. Is that trend over?
No, I'll tell you what's happening. If the market is going to float in a range, then retail is not going to make money, and then it's going to gradually walk away. It's going to be losing money, in fact, because as we've seen, the options, if you buy options, they're extremely expensive. So they actually eat your money away. So I actually feel that, while markets go up and down, you go up and down 100, 200 points in a day, and you're still in the same range, it is going to make the retail investor go away, and that's not good. But again, I don't see any real trigger to take us to a new level. I think we are at these levels. It's a comfortable level, but FIs are still selling. There's a lot of excitement pulling money back to the US with Trump coming back into the seat, and so I think that's going to have some effect. So we have to live with it. We have to live around it, and that's what it is. And money flows are definitely driving our market, and right now money flows are net negative.
But why are you worried about buying Reliance? It's doing okay, and I mean, there were a lot of people who said that it's now entering value zone.
No, absolutely. I'm not unhappy with the purchase. I'm just unhappy that I paid a slightly higher price than where it is right now. So that's all. So I'm crying about that.
I thought, Pashupati, I think that's one thing that we've learned in the markets. Never try and time for at least that small amount, because you're not going to catch the bottom or sell at a high, right? So
no,
it's
absolutely.
okay, par for the course.
Yeah, but I mean, it is fundamentally a good stock. I think there's going to be unlocking of different values as they do the listing for they're trying to get a US listing sorted, and they're trying to list other bits and pieces here. So let's see what happens. I mean, I think that it is fundamentally a very strong stock, and it's got a lot of businesses and a lot of things going for it. And it's a core part of the portfolio. I just added to mine.
So that's one of those good stocks. What's the view on HDFC and ICICI Bank then?
Again, they're doing great. I mean, HDFC's bank has got some unlocking because they've coming with a new issue of one of their subsidiaries. So that's obviously going to give some value. I mean, people do add the values once that gets listed. So it's up from, like the 1600 type level to almost 1800 in the last, I guess, 2 weeks. So I think that's been good for the stock. ICICI, it's there. It kind of follows. But again, I'm not as bullish as others are on Bank Nifty, because I actually think that the banking system has got some issues which are buried and will be buried for a while. But I think that one should not be jumping into the banking sector with both feet.
Let's look at Adani group of stocks, and they've come back. So, Pashupati, same time last week it was quite gloomy. Now looks like the sun has started shining again.
Well, 4 of the stocks have been put into F&O, so I think that's helped a lot. I think that will provide some stability. Again, I think the world has changed, and I think the world is, I won't say for better or for worse. It's just that it has changed, and I think that this kind of stock is benefiting. Big is beautiful. We're seeing it in Reliance. We're seeing it in Adani. Now, I'd like to see all 4 of them. All the Adani stocks and all the Reliance stocks move up, then we'll be happy, and then the market will also be able to get into it and make some money. My current issue is that Adani stocks don't seem to be heavily owned by retail, whereas, for example, Reliance stocks are. So I think that they need to get some more retail participation into all the Adani stocks. And I think once that happens, I think we'll be much better off.
Okay, Naresh, what's your view around some of these blue chips, the Reliance, HDFC, ICICI banks of the world?
So HDFC and Reliance look, HDFC, ICICI and Reliance, all the three look interesting in terms of the structure. So you had HDFC Bank test that 1800 mark for 10 to 12 times over the last 3 years. And now the base has shifted to 1650, 1700. So some point of time over the next few months, that should be a breakout move. Now, same way, if you look at ICICI Bank, it has kept on making higher bottoms all through the last 1 year. In the near term, at 1300 odd levels, it's not far away from the highs which it made in October, which was closer to 1330 post numbers. And the all-time highs were closer to around 1350 odd levels, 1350, 1360. So 2-3 percentage point away from an all-time high breakout. So this looks promising. So these two names are 50% of the bank nifty, 20% of the nifty. If they take a trend up, pushes the indices as well. Reliance Industries, similarly, the stock has corrected 20-25% from the top. And now seems like a smaller base is made around this 1200 mark, and slowly a move towards 1350, 1380 could be possible.
Okay, point taken. So that's a view on some of these Reliance, HDFCs, ICICIs of the world. But which are the big themes that the market participants are watching out for right now? You're out the expert take on some of that.
Okay. The other one which I think Srishi did not mention is actually Ola. And they launched a gig, they launched a scooter which could be used by gig workers, and the stock went from 65 to 95 and it's come down. Pashupati, where is this company headed? I mean, we think Ola is only about scooters, but there's a battery business in it also. They are innovating. I mean, to grant it to them, they want many first to their, advantage.
See, the thing about batteries is that there is some technology change happening, and we're seeing that coming with news coming out of China. I haven't seen anything that has shown a new technology that is good, but there is some talk of it happening. Now, obviously, if you're in the battery business and the technology changes and you can't move with it, you're going to have some issues. And I think that's what Ola is suffering from. The other thing is they're talking in India about doing battery swappings at stations rather than waiting for people to charge, simply as a way to keep the traffic moving and getting the people coming. Now, whether Ola is able to participate, whether the batteries are, there still has to be standardization of the auto batteries as well as the two-wheeler batteries. So let's see what happens. It's a huge space, lots of big players. Ola is one of them. I think it's going to be a very interesting space. And you've got the OMCs also sitting there saying, "Hey, we've got petrol pumps. Now what do we do?" And Toyota has obviously bet on hybrids. Some of the others like Tata Motors and all are saying we'll go fully, and of course MG, which is I guess Jindals are in talk and to take over majority. Those are basically saying we're going electric. So let's see what happens. Very, very interesting space and lots of potential for people to make money and lose money if you're on the wrong side of it.
Okay, point taken. But in the meantime, let's take some BTSC trades from our technical experts. Naresh, what's the buy today, sell tomorrow idea?
So first is the buy in LIC Housing Finance, setting up for a breakout move, stop loss at 631, target price of 655. Second is the buy in ICICI Bank, again setting up for a breakout move about 1300 odd levels, stop loss at 1290, target price of 1340.
What about you?
I'll go with the buy on SBI. That's a chart which is looking attractive, even though the stock has been sideways over the last 2-3 days. So would suggest a target of 880, stop loss at 820. And DV Slab is the other stock which has confirmed a swing breakout about the previous size of 6100. So look out for targets in the range of 6400, stop loss at 6080.
Okay, fair enough. Those are the top recommendations coming in. But come next week, it's going to be an important one. We'll not only be dealing with the auto sales data come Monday, but perhaps we'll also get the clarity as to who is going to be the Chief Minister in Maharashtra. For now, the meeting today has been cancelled, but hopefully we'll get clarity next week. And then the MPC meeting is lined up in the coming week, so that will be also important to track. The expectation is there might be a bit of an action there. In fact, Pashupati, that is one common theme that I've heard from a lot of consumption corporates and experts, that consumption has stagnated and something is needed either from the RBI's end or the government's end to spur the consumption now. What's your take? Is that something which is very, very imminent and either the government or RBI will have to blink first?
You've seen retail taking money out of the markets and making money. That seems to have slowed down. And a lot of that money was coming into consumption. So that is also slowing down. So the thing is, how do we get retail to make money again, to spend again? Whether it's the bottom or almost the bottom of the pyramid, that's going to be difficult, because the way I'm seeing the market, it looks like it's floating, and it's going to be very, very difficult to make money, at least in the next 1 or 2 months. So I think that this trading of even the BTSTs, you'll make some, you'll lose some, you won't really be taking money out of the market. And I think that's what my concern is, that FIs are selling, our SIPs are still there, which is good, but the actual retailer who's been providing the liquidity and enjoying the market is actually not being able to make money, and therefore will leave the markets. And that's not a good sign.
It's 3:20, so let's just take one more view from Ashish Gupta on consumption. Here are his thoughts on where consumption, in a sense, is headed as a trend. Consumption can be divided into urban, rural. Now, quick commerce is also consumption. Everything which has got to do with consumption earlier was moving post-COVID in a linear manner. Then came the divide, urban versus rural. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it. But within that, now there are categories which are getting formed, which is, for example, I think travel is growing, another form of consumption, but discretionary spend is not picking up. Everybody is spending in terms of experiential and experiences, but nobody really wants to spend a lot in terms of basic necessities. Luxury is doing very well, and our colleague Anjali just mentioned that how Black Friday sales, in a sense, can really choke a lot of malls tonight. But in general, the consumption is growing at a rate which is not very impressive when it comes to the broader market per se. And here are some thoughts from Ashish Gupta.
Did see rural consumption picking up over the past 2 quarters, and what did disappoint, however, was that there were clear signs of slowdown in mass urban consumption. The feedback on the festive season also has been mixed. Initial part of the festive season was disappointing. Then we did have a pickup again the month of November, where there was some spillover of festive season. So we are still hopeful that rural consumption is picking up. I think if you see government spend action both from the center and state, that has turned towards much more on the mass market.
Tech Mahindra is, I think there is an analyst meet coming, right? Why do I remember?
Not Tech Mahindra, LTI Mindtree happened. Not that I remember of Tech Mahindra. Maybe it is impending and I missed that. Let me check.
Or maybe I'm just overthinking. Whatever may be the reason, Tech Mahindra, I think, is off from the day's low. Pashupati, what is driving IT? I mean, IT is growing at 7-8%. You can be charitable and say 9-10% for the big ones. If the sector is growing at 8 to 9%, why are P multiples north of 25 really holding on?
Well, the thing about IT is we also have to realize what's happening with the dollar and the rupee. And the rupee is currently at 84.5 and seems to be hitting that. And as long as the dollar remains strong versus the rupee, it's going to definitely have some effect on where IT companies go. And I think that is the nervousness that is stopping people from jumping in. However, even 25, 30 PE is also expensive for IT stocks, particularly if you compare them to some of the ones that are outside India. So I think that I would be very cautious in IT. I'm not as bullish as most of the other people. And I say that, the fact that the rupee is having some problems against the dollar and RBI is having to sell dollars to stabilize, I think, is something that we need to be cognizant of. And I think that's going to make a big difference to us and our markets over the next months to come.
That's the take coming in on some of these IT counters and what's happening across the board. Just taking stock of the market, because it does look like we managed to hold on pretty much. 24,120, the highs of the day was 150 thereabouts if I have it right. So pretty much around that level. Adani group of stocks also doing okay. Piramal Pharma has actually done very well for itself. It started with a gain of around 6-7%. Right now it's 12%. Kunal, what's the view on Piramal Pharma specifically? Would you buy? Because I think pull up a 1-month chart or a 3-month chart and let's see how it's exactly performed. What's the view?
I think it's done very well for itself for the last 6 months or so. I think on a YTD basis, the stock is up some 90-95%. So far, I think it went to 300 plus levels. Some time back, and then went into a correction, coming back towards 250 odd levels. So again, a decent correction, shaping up for the stock. And as a technical, tendency, we've seen the stock coming towards its 50-day moving average over the last 5-6 such corrections over the last 1 year. So it's not as if the stock has moved into a a very sharp recovery. Every now and then the stock gets into a corrective phase, settles closer to this 50-day moving average, like what we saw I think 3-4 days back when the stock was almost at 250 to 55 levels. And I think from there we've seen a recovery. So which means even at current levels, the stock could be bought into for a potential target of a new high 300 plus.
Okay, point taken. Pashupati, before we let you go, any last words as to which segments, sector, stocks that you're looking at adding or looking actively at?
I'm actually still very defensive, and I'm looking at the good old faithfuls like cement, a little bit of pharma, very comfortable in those, a couple of PSUs. I'm just being very, very conservative because I think that you're going to get opportunities, and I'm still sitting on some cash.
Sitting on cash, not a bad strategy at all. The market might just give you better entry opportunities, though most of the participants believe that bulk of the correction, at least at the index level, seems to be out of the system. And overall, it's been an okay week for the markets. Not too bad. We're ending above the 24,000 mark, and as Nikunj was also pointing out earlier, it's a relative move that we had seen from last Thursday to today, almost a 900 to 1,000 point rally at the index level.